Ini adalah amanah. Melindungi pekerja merupakan panggilan yang mulia untuk kami.
Bukan hanya tentang hari ini, tetapi tentang perjuangan menjalankan roda kehidupan.
Karena kami ingin terus memberikan apa yang menjadi mimpi besar anak-anak kami.
Kerja keras untuk keluarga demi masa depan yang bebas cemas.
Terima kasih karena telah melindungi kami sebagai tulang punggung keluarga.
Amanah besar yang diberikan kepada BPJS Ketenagakerjaan mendorong kami terus berinovasi. Apapun resikonya,
Kecelakaan kerja di saat jauh dari keluarga, kehilangan mata pencarian,
Hari tua yang tak berdaya.
Bahkan kehilangan nyawa sekalipun.
kami berdiri di sini untuk membawa arti bagi keluarga. Negara hadir melalui BPJS Ketenagakerjaan untuk mewujudkannya. Perlindungan pekerja sejahtera.
Okay, now we will go to the first session. We have first topic with the title is a critical health promotion practice. A critical health promotion practice model for working with priority communities. And the speaker is Dr. Jane Taylor from University of the Sunshine Coast, Queensland, Australia. And the moderator for this session is Ms. Trecia Sujana, Escap Nurse M. Nurse. She is a lecturer at the Nursing Faculty of Immanuel Institute of Health. Please welcome Ms. Trecia Sujana. All the screen is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Ardini. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hello everyone. Good morning and welcome back to the third International Conference, Immanuel Institute of Health. I'm Trecia Sujana, and it's a great pleasure to be the moderator for today's first session. We are honored to have with us today a distinguished speaker, Associate Professor Jane Taylor from University of the Sunshine Coast, Queensland, Australia. Hello, Dr. Jane. How are you?
Hello, lovely to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, first, I would like to read a brief introduction of Dr. Jane. Associate Professor Jane Taylor is a discipline leader for public health at University of the Sunshine Coast, Australia, with 25 years of professional health promotion experience. She worked as a health promotion practitioner in community and was a director of health promotion on the Central Public Health Unit Network in Sunshine Coast, Queensland, back in 1996. And with the focus on community-based health promotion programs, including women's health, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health, school health promotion, and public health service delivery in rural and remote Queensland prior to joining the USC in 2004. Dr. Jane's health promotion research focuses on strengthening the theoretical foundation of health promotion to support a critical, with social justice and equity focused practice approach. And this involves using modern health promotion values and principles to design, implement, evaluate, and critique health promotion policies and programs and undertake research. And with Associate Professor Lily O'Hara in 2007, she found and developed the Red Lotus Health Promotion Model, which has been used in undergraduate and graduate health promotion courses in Australia, USA, UK, UAE, and Qatar, as well as in research studies and health promotion program. She has been an active member of the Australian Health Promotion Association and Queensland branch for many years, and member of the Public Health Association of Australia. And she is also a member of editorial board in BMC Public Health Journal and guest editor in Health Promotion Journal of Australia. Well, I can't really read all of the activities and publications that Dr. Jane has been done because it's so many. So you've been very active, and it's so good to have you here, Dr. Jane. Now, without further ado, Dr. Jane, you can present your slides. And we allotted time for the presentation for 30 minutes. And I will give you signal when there are only 10 minutes remaining. And after that, we will have discussion for around 15 minutes. And we can help you with the slide.
Yeah, if you're able to share the slides, that would be great, Tresia.
Yes.
And
Okay.
I'll just give you a thank you when I need you to move on, if that's all right. Is that okay? Yeah,
sure,
thank you.
sure. That would be
Thank
great.
you very much. Look, thank you, Tresia, for your introduction. I feel like, yeah, I'm always very humble about speaking with such distinguished people as well. And I think the work that I've been doing and the work that I'm talking about today, I'm very passionate about, and as Tresia indicated, have been involved in for a long time. But I think most importantly, just to say that the work that we've been doing is really aligned with the theme of your conference in terms of having a focus on using health promotion to achieve health equities, particularly in priority communities right across the lifespan. So I'm humbled and I'm privileged and I'm excited and I'm a tad nervous about talking with you all today. So and the CV might be a little bit of an indication how old I am as well. So I'm getting toward the end of my career rather than the beginning. So thank you. So a critical health promotion practice model for working with priority communities is what I'm going to talk to you around today. And it's probably, I can say it's probably my life work in terms of my academic career, but which come from my practice career initially. So yeah, very excited. Thank you, Tresia. So as Tresia said, I'm from the Sunshine Coast. So I'm not sure. I'm sure some of you may have been to the Sunshine Coast. I know Tresia has. And we live in a beautiful part of the world. I'm from a regional university where I've been for about 17 years now, where the Arrow is. And we have some beautiful beaches that we enjoy all year round because we have lovely weather. And to the west, we have some really beautiful mountain ranges. And our campus, yes, has kangaroos, quite a lot of kangaroos that everyone can enjoy, and particularly our many international students who come and study with us. So I thought I'd share that with you also. I'm a health promotion academic here, and so obviously that's the place I'm coming from today to talk to you about the work that we've been doing. Thank you. So I would first like to acknowledge, though, the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work and study, the Kabi people. And I pay my respect to local Indigenous elders, past, present, and emerging, our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders, and recognise the strength and resilience and capacity of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And this acknowledgement is something that we do in Australia when we present to acknowledge the Indigenous peoples of the lands where we live and where we're located. Thank you. So I'm talking to you today, and I've included a picture here of my colleague Lily O'Hara, who's at Qatar University at the moment, we've done this work together over many years. And for some context, we're both health promotion practitioners, so working in different community-based organisations and government organisations, and so we have both come to academia, I think, around in our early 40s. So we're very much practitioners to start with. So I find it hard to get out of my practitioner mode and role. And so the work that we've been doing has very much been informed from our experience so as practitioners in developing tools and models and frameworks that support us as practitioners in our health promotion work, whatever that might be, whatever communities we're working with. And in particular, models and tools that enable us to really prioritise and make sure that our work is with those communities that are most impacted by structural inequities. So people that ultimately, as a consequence, experience the greatest inequities and poorest health and wellbeing outcomes. So that I think we both come from very much have a social justice perspective and underpinning. And so that's sort of where our work and our focus has come from, which I think will come through in this presentation. So that's a little bit of background about us, and we continue to work together in this space. So I'll just provide a little bit of an overview about health promotion. I'm not sure, I know there's lots of people in the audience from professional roles and students and academics, so I won't labour on that too much because I want to get to the model, but just provide a bit of an overview and try and make sure that you are sort of connecting with where you fit or sit, or your role in health promotion or potential role in health promotion as well. Then I'll talk about the model and I think the link to priority communities and how such models and in our professional practice, how health promotion can contribute to addressing health inequities and particularly structural inequities. Thank you, Tracia. And questions at the end. So I think just to talk about what health promotion practice is, because I've mentioned that so far, basically it refers to any health promotion programs or projects, sometimes policy or strategies or initiatives that we implement alongside communities that are ultimately aimed at creating the changes in the environments that people live and work and play in, so that the environments and the conditions in those environments are supportive of people's health and well-being, so that people can ultimately live their best lives. So that's fundamentally what health promotion practice is. Health promotion practitioners, so people that do health promotion, generally refers, when that's their title, that's in this context anyway, in Australia and other countries, refers to those workers whose main role is health promotion. That's what they are employed to do. That's their title. That's what they do. And those practitioners generally work with in government departments or in non-government sector or in community-based organisations to implement policies and programs to improve environments for that support people's health and well-being. But health promotion practice is also undertaken as a component of other practitioners' roles. And examples like for clinical and allied health practitioners often work with in health promotion at an individual level through sort of patient education, for example. And also, so the health promotion element of the work is part of their role, not their primary role. Educators as well get involved in health promotion work. Urban planners and climate and social justice activists also drawing on health promotion practice or theory and processes to sort of advocate for changes in the environments that people live and work in. So here I've just sort of included this here as well. So I think a lot of our audience today are in health professions, and I've just got a few, but apologies in advance if you're not represented in those disciplines that are incorporated there. But I know for many in Australia, a lot of health promotion competencies or skills and knowledge are incorporated into the professional accreditation standards for other professions. So that means ultimately that our graduates from across a range of health professions are graduating with a foundation level of health promotion knowledge and skills in preparation for them to be engaging in some health promotion work, depending on the nature of their role in their professional careers. So, and there's also, for those that are interested, there's the International Union for Health Promotion and Education have an international set of health promotion competency standards. And then, so universities, for example, that graduate health promotion practitioners are able to be accredited with the International Union. So that it's an international movement as well. Thanks, Tresia. So, so I think that leads into thinking about, health promotion, people that work in health promotion roles, depending on your role, whether your primary role is health promotion or it's a component of what you do. Health promotion works across a whole range of levels, from individual, family, community, population, and global levels. And in fact, the World Health Organization have a number of global health promotion initiatives. Healthy Cities is an example. There's one around urbanization, schools, etc. So the way that health promotion is organised, we often talk about settings. So sometimes health practitioners will work with their local geographical region. We call them local government or their local region. Health, there's a lot of focus on creating workplaces and universities and schools and childcare centres and learning centres. Focusing on how we design those work settings and learning centres to be health promoting for people, particularly with the increasing, pressures and mental health in particular in workplaces is a big issue for us now. And then and also with other different community settings, which might be not necessarily geographical, but it might be about working with the youth or working with women, working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities or rural and remote communities for us. And another way to think about it is across the continuum of primary healthcare, which we would all be, I assume, familiar with, whether it's sort of the downstream work or the upstream end of the primary healthcare continuum, then our health promotion activity, might just look a little bit different from working with individuals through to whole populations. Thank you. So I think to say that health promotion is a subdiscipline of public health. So public health is, for those that are not familiar, interested in the health and well-being of populations and whole communities, and health promotion sort of sits as part of public health. And the purpose of health promotion is to develop, implement and evaluate health promotion programs to bring about changes in the socio-ecological determinants of health and well-being that are focused on primarily, like the primary focus is to enhance health equity. So we have really done a lot of work in trying to really articulate this focus in health promotion, which we talk about as a critical practice. So practice that's driven by social justice and addressing health inequities, which is distinct from some health promotion work that goes on traditionally, which has been in part are more underpinned by biomedical and behavioural health paradigms and understandings of health and well-being, where the focus of health promotion campaigns and programs and policies and strategies has been on trying to change individual level behaviours that are ultimately linked to disease conditions. So this approach is really trying to shift the focus to thinking about the way that society is organised and the broader environmental, particularly the social structural determinants of health. So the way our social and economic and political policies and those conditions, how really think about it and understanding how that's what shapes health and well-being ultimately, much more impactful than people's behaviours are more a consequence of those circumstances rather than the driver. So shifting the focus. I suppose one of the criticisms in more traditional approaches to health promotion has been that health inequities have not been addressed. And so that's why we've, in part, contributes to having, increasing gap between health equities between and within populations. So thank you, Tricia. So, I mean, there's some definitions around health promotion, and the World Health Organization one is a fairly standard definition as well, from the Ottawa Charter for Health Promotion. But I think ultimately here, the key point here is that health promotion is a process. It's a way we work with communities to engage communities in decision making about what needs to change for them to be to experience better health and well-being. I think the other thing important is that in this definition is that that we have a holistic perspective and not just a physical perspective on health. And I think from this definition, it certainly acknowledges physical, mental, and social well-being. Doesn't tend to the spiritual elements of well-being, which is also important. That's all right. Thinking about health as a resource, that it's a positive concept. And the other, I think, that's interesting about this definition is that it recognises that most health promotion or most health is created outside the health system. So when we think about the determinants of health and those broad range of factors that impact health and well-being of people, most of that's not within the health system. So it requires us to work in very collaboratively and multidisciplinary and multisectorial ways. Thanks, Tricia. So one of the things that we were really bothered about when we, as practitioners, and we used to talk about a long time ago, Lily and I, was like that a lot of the models that we worked with and tools were very technical. So they described how to do community assessment, how to design a program, but it didn't give us any guidance around what was important and what it was that underpinned our decisions about what our practice could look like, which led us to this model. And it's evolved over time, the model, and it's called the Red Lotus Critical Health Promotion Model. And we've used the Red Lotus plant because structurally, and there's a whole lot of spiritual and medicinal qualities about the plant that resonate with what our critical health promotion is all about. So it wasn't brand new in terms of we built on the technical elements that from other models, but it was the first model to explicitly we based it on critical theory. And I think that's important. There weren't any other models that were based on critical theory, which essentially refers to a social justice approach to health promotion that also enables us to critically reflect on how the dominant sort of social structures and discourses that privilege some over others may in fact contribute to greater health inequities. So articulating what's important in terms of social justice and health equity, and then a critical reflection process for us to interrogate that. when we need to. So we added a system of values and principles and a heuristic, which is really a tool to critically reflect on our practice. Thank you, Teresa. Watching the time. So I have to move on. Can you move on? That's a repetition. Thank you. 2 slides, similar stuff. Yeah. So the model, we've unpacked the model and associated different parts of the model with different parts of our health promotion practice. The pod represents people's health and wellbeing status. The stamens, the characteristics of people that influence health status. The leaves refer to sustainability and particularly in terms of our practice needing to contribute to better health equity outcomes. The petal layers unpack the socio-ecological determinants of health, the community, and then the 4 phases of a health promotion process. So we do community assessment, planning, implementation, evaluation. The tuber, the stems, and the roots are the values and principles system. So the tuber, the values, the roots, the principles, and then the stems, the critical reflection. And the stems join all those things together. So the stems connect the underlying values and principles that are important in a critical approach to the technical aspects of practice. And hopefully, ultimately, what we do improves what's going on in the pod. So people's health and wellbeing status. Thank you. I always feel like there's a lot to talk about. So I won't go into detail, but each of those parts then in this model, we've unpacked in a lot of detail. So thinking about people's health status and all the different elements of health status, I think it's very easy for us just to think about often from a biomedical behavioural perspective of physical and mental health status of people, either individually or collectively at population community levels. Sometimes we forget about the other elements, but that's what we refer to as a holistic health status. Thank you. Then the stamens, which are connected to the pod. There's lots of these are people's characteristics, and within each of these characteristic types, there's a lot of micro level determinants, if you like, but all of these characteristics filter and in positive or negative ways people's health and well-being. Thank you. So if we look at the biological factors, then things that people are born with, difficult to change, not impossible for all to change, but difficult. But those factors impact people's health and well-being. Thank you. This our socioeconomic circumstances, so thinking about a range of circumstances that we again often born into our socioeconomic circumstances that are very difficult to change, that go into the mix. And I think as we move through these domains of people's characteristics and thinking about all the stamens, the complexity becomes really obvious, the complexity and all these things that contribute. Thank you. Then we've got the cognitive factors or people's cognitive elements. Also, they go into the mix. Thank you. And our sort of emotional feelings, mood, our affective factors as well. So all of these, and I think we've got one more, Tresia. And then people's behaviours. So thinking about behaviours also in a holistic way, not just our physical behaviours, whether, often we think a lot of health promotion programs are designed around people's risk-taking behaviours, but there's a lot more behaviours than physical behaviours that people can engage in. And a lot more emphasis on our spiritual behaviours also as being really important in our health and well-being. So I think, again, that's the you know, I think what we've tried to do in this model is really unpack so that practitioners can really understand the complexities that they're working with when we're engaging in developing policies and designing programs and strategies that we're hoping will have a positive impact on people's health and well-being. Okay, thank you. So the next, now we're putting the petal layers on. So we're connecting the petal layers with the pod and stamens. And now we're starting to think about here the environmental conditions that people live in. So underpinning this model, it's sort of based on systems theory and as well. And so we talk about the socio-ecological determinants of health and well-being. Thank you. And those socio-ecological determinants, if we unpack those, represented by a petal in this first layer of the Red Lotus health promotion model, then there are lots of environments that we live in simultaneously, most of which we don't have any control over, that impact also on health and well-being. So I think the story is that we're being sort of built up in this model is this complexity, and that's why systems theory and systems thinking is really important in the underpinnings of this model as well. And a lot more focus more recently on the impact of the commercial environment on people's health and well-being. A lot more impact and consideration in that space is being advocated for as being really, really important. Thanks, Tresia. I better hurry up. So again, I won't go through it, but each of those environments and petal layers we've unpacked. So for example, in the social environment, we know understanding social capital, social justice, and the social structure. So the services, for example, health, education, childcare, whatever, available to communities, really important to understand, and they all influence the quality of life and health and well-being of people. So the model unpacks all of those determinant types as well. Thank you. The next layers of the model are more the technical practice elements. So in health promotion, we do a community assessment, then we plan programs, then we implement those programs, and we evaluate them. So the subsequent layers, each layer reflects one of those processes, which I'll just quickly speak to without a lot of detail. Thank you, Tresia. Yeah, I mean, also to say that health promotion practice is a cyclical process. So when we're working with communities, we're always trying to think about what they're doing a community assessment and identifying what their assets and needs are. Once we know that, we can go on to plan programs to improve the conditions in the determinants of health in a particular community around an issue, for example. Then we go into the doing phase. So implementing a program based on our planning, and then evaluating whether or not what we've done, what we set out to achieve, has actually been achieved. And then it's a cyclical process of going through that again. And those practice, what we do is shaped by the underlying values and principles of our practice, which often, I would argue, historically, practitioners don't think about at a deep level. Thanks, Tresia. So in the community assessment phase, what we do is, it's a community assessment. So we're collecting secondary and primary data around the assets in a community alongside communities, what they do have, what they don't have, analysing that, and from there using those findings to think about what strengths a community might have, so what we can build on, and what some of the gaps might be, which might also be health service gaps. From there, Teresia, thanks. Then we can plan how we're going to what we're going to do to build on those assets or to address those gaps through health promotion practice. So we develop a plan which includes goals, objectives, strategies, and thinking about our evaluation at this point as well. Thank you. Then we do our doing. We implement our program over however long it might be. Thank you. and then we evaluate it. And there's different types of evaluation across the life of a program, and all of this work, including evaluation, is important to do alongside the communities for whom those programs are designed and all the stakeholders that know something about and have a valuable contribution to make. Thanks, Tricia.
Sorry, Dr. Jane, you have 10 minutes left.
10?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's good. So from there, yes, the next part. So that's sort of I'm just trying to gather my thoughts. Sorry, just reconnect. And I think it's because this is the important part and the bit that's different to other models. The tuber and the stems and the roots reflect the values and the principles and the process of critical reflection. So we think about those three elements as being very tightly aligned. And so in the initial stages of our work, we identified the values and principles and what they were, but it took us a while to, and we named them, but I think one of the things that we recognized a little further down the track was that practitioners really needed some tools and some support to engage in the critical reflection process, because it's not always intuitive to do. We just get on and do what we do, and we don't sort of go back and think about, well, what's really informing our decisions here? And so having some tools to do that. So that was, this is where the values and principles are really important in this model. Thank you. So we think about what we do, community assessment, planning, running programs, evaluating them, is what is on the surface. It's what we see. But underpinning that is what's shaping our decisions about that practice. So under the waterline, that's sometimes a way to think about it. Thank you. So we talk about a value as something, a single idea, something that's really important, and a principle as evidence of that value in action, what it looks like when we put it into practice. So for example, my family is really important to me, so that's my value, is my family. The principle that demonstrates that I value my family is spending quality time with my family. So sometimes we can have a value, but whether or not that translates into an action, or an action that aligns with what the essence of that value, sometimes there can be a disconnect there. So we really wanted to provide the principles in this model, because they provide the guidance on what to do to enact the important values and principles that underpin the model. Thanks, Tresia. So we've landed now, we now have 10 values in our model. So this is these are the tuber component of the model. And the first one, and we put this first because we think it's so important, and this is what sort of speaks to your agenda for your conference at the moment, is priority populations determined by structural inequity. So thinking about and making sure that, you know, we are actually primarily focused on communities that are most negatively impacted by structural inequities. So for us in Australia, our priority communities, people that live in rural and remote areas, priority communities, because their health and well-being is greater inequities. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, people from lower socioeconomic circumstances or conditions. So thinking about our priority communities and having them at the top of the pile is really important, because it's easy for priority communities, because to change conditions, particularly social and political conditions, is really challenging. It's hard work. Also holistic health and well-being, so a holistic health paradigm, a salutogenic approach, which is about being focused on the creation of health, and that comes across in the ways also that we talk about a discourse around communities, and making sure that our discourse is really strength-oriented, and we're talking, referring to our communities in positive language rather than deficit-type language. System science, which I've mentioned already in terms of understanding the complexities of health and well-being, and particularly the socio-ecological determinants of health. Coming from a position of empowering people and giving them, assuming that people are doing the best for their well-being. So people make decisions all the time, and trying not to be judgmental about decisions that people might make about their health that we might not align with what we think is the best decision. And being, particularly as professionals, and we can be a little bit, I don't know, assume that we know best sometimes. So because people don't wake up every day to make a bad decision for their health. I think people live their lives based on their circumstances and the resources they do or don't have, and try and do their best. Working alongside people as professionals, and supporting people and enabling people rather than assuming, as I said, we know best. Working in participatory ways to engage people in the decision-making processes along the way about things that most affect them. Another really important thing, I think, is making sure that our practice is evidence-based, and we're using appropriate models and theories and drawing on a whole range of types of evidence, just not the literature or the empirical work, but also evidence as in community views and community voices, the views of professionals that have worked in programs before, that have worked, so a broad range of evidence. I think also linked to the inequity agenda too, and the first value is this maximum beneficence, and really thinking about who's benefiting from the work that we're doing and who should most benefit. And we would argue that it's priority populations that should most benefit, and not doing any harm. So sometimes, and I've done this as an early practitioner. I have, uninformed early, a little bit, we call it green, but inadvertently not really thinking through a lot of this thinking, and actually work unintentionally contributing to greater inequities because we're working with the wrong populations and they are being more advantaged. Thank you. So an example here, there's a little bit more detail here about the principle. So there's the value for priority populations determined by structural inequity, and then the principle. So the principle, this value recognises that the enjoyment of highest attainable standard of health is a fundamental human right. So there's social justice perspective in there, that we need to prioritise working with people and communities that are most impacted by the inequitable distribution of structural and systemic privilege and power. That needs to be our lens, rather than those that already benefit, that are all already, for example, maybe are more privileged in the communities or the societies that they work in because of their privileged positions, whatever that might be. In Australia, that would be being white. Thank you. So what we have done then, and I've got 4 minutes, I think, Trecia, so I'm nearly close. What we've done, we've developed, I think we just felt we needed to develop an assessment tool, a critical reflection tool to assess the quality of our practice so that we can make an informed decision about how critical it is. And then not only and we can use it in this tool in different ways, or this thinking in different ways. We can use this thinking in the design of programs, or we can use it to critique existing health promotion policy and programs. And in addition, we can use it in teaching, a whole lot of ways we've used it. Thank you. So we've developed, thank you. Thanks, Trecia. So we've developed a tool most recently, it's our most recent contribution to this work called Catch Up. So it's a quality assessment tool for critical health promotion practice. And in short, for each of the values and the related principles that I've just introduced, there's 3 reflective questions. And we've developed a little scoring system for the extent to which the answers to those 3 questions align with a critical approach. So be strongly critical or not critical at all. So there's an individual score for each of the 10 values and principles, and then it can be translated into an overall score. And I don't think the score is the important thing here. It's the mechanism for critically reflecting and thinking deeply about each of those values and principles and how they're being realized in our practice or not. Once we know or have a sense about, are we really working with priority communities? If we're not, then we'd get a low score. So we need to rethink that. So it's more a reflective tool. It's not about saying something's bad or it's because it's not critical, it's not okay. It's about just understanding the nature of our practice. Thank you. So this is just a bit of a snapshot of, these are the 3 reflective questions for the value of priority populations determined by structural inequity. And by asking ourselves those questions, then we've got a little form that we can nominate our scores. And what we're really asking people to think about here is whether or not we're working with priority populations. If we're not, then we'll have a low score. In talking about or referring to priority populations, what's the discourse around that? And we have an argument that we really need to shift away from terminology like people are, disadvantaged, marginalised, vulnerable communities, and actually talk about priority communities. And there's been a real shift in a lot of Australian health and wellbeing policies now where priority populations will be identified using that language, because the argument is that deficit discourse is it doesn't make people feel good. It's deficit oriented. And then thinking about whether or not the ideology that underpins the program reflects social and environmental justice principles. And because that's what's important, the social justice and equity element of our work. Thank you. So, I mean, we've got work in a few different places around this model, and there is some information in this text, and I'm happy to provide you with the chapter that's got more detail about the model if you wish. But we have put a lot more information and applied at examples in the next edition, which we've just finished the manuscript for. So we're excited about that coming out. But yeah, I'm really happy to share anything or examples of its application, however you wish. And I think that's it, Teresia. I think I've made my time limit. Questions, I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Jane. And yes, please, can we have the chapter, please?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Thank you. Okay, now we enter the question and answer session. So if you like to ask a question directly, you can raise your hand, or you can write your question in the Q&A feature in the Zoom application. Is there anyone who wants to ask directly? You can raise your hand, and please slide share-nya di itu. Can we stop sharing? Yes, thank you. All right. So there's okay. There's one question from Ibu Widyadari. Would you like to ask directly? Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was chat question in the chat column, but I have okay. Okay, I will tell directly. Okay, Mrs. Jan Taylor, thank you. I'm Widya Dari. I want to ask about community assessment. So, what is our strategy as a health worker to be able to find problems or gaps that actually occur in the community? Sometimes we miss about that.
Yeah, I think,
Thank you.
probably a few different ways that I would respond to that. I know for here, like a lot of the health services and whether they're or the community organisations, local governments, they work together to collect views from the community. So it's a process within the organisations that they work in. So I suppose it's, depending where you work, it would be useful to just find out the processes that of organisations to engage and talk to communities to get their input. I think the starting point, though, for community assessment is always sort of the existing secondary information or data that's available that tells part of the story. But I think, I'm not sure for you, but finding out how your organisations you work for engage with their communities, what are their processes, and seeing if you can tap into that. And a lot of the organisations here, the health service organisations, they work together to run community surveys, and then they go and talk to lots of different groups in the community. So finding so I think it's the processes that organisations support and use, the community engagement processes. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Mrs.
Lydia,
Jen.
are you
Okay,
fine
thank
with the
you.
answer? Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Is there any more question? Well, maybe from me, Dr. Jane. Or
I have a question.
okay, Ibu Wintari, our rector.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks for Dr. Jan Taylor. Your presentation is very good. And question for you.
Thank you.
Does the Australian government request community participation in effort to improve public health? If so, what from does it take? And number two, in Indonesian community, participation is through integrated service delivery. Health cadres for the community are trained by health workers from the health department and serve the community for basic health.
So I think I've got your first question, which is around how the government engage communities. Is that right? Yeah.
That right? Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's the first
So
question.
most in policy and agendas, so new policy and in review of policy related to health, there is a community consultation, and sometimes called a community engagement process that is included in the process to develop a policy or program. So it's built into the process. The second question?
The second question is, do you have a community health services that are that have the community itself as the primary leader of the health promotion intervention, like address?
Yeah. Do you know, we do, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities have specific health services that are led by and consultation groups and advisory groups and citizens groups. So I think we do it better in that space in terms of community-driven decision making. I would probably say that for a lot of the other health services, they do set up, community consultation committees. So they do it more that way. So most do. So consumer advisory groups, consumer groups. Yeah. So they look a bit different. Bit different in different, depending whether it's government, non-government. Yeah.
Okay, so
And
the question.
What is major problem in the community Australia?
The major problem in the community.
The major issues.
What is the major issue
for the whole population?
In community.
Yeah, nationally,
especially in the
mental health
community, Dr. Jane.
Yeah, big. There's a big focus on mental health in Australia at the moment. At the community level, though, in discrete community levels, they might vary, though, depending on the community. Like the priorities or the issues that communities are experiencing might be really different. So, for example, in rural and remote communities, food security is a really big issue because in terms of food quality, because the middle of Australia is a desert, and so most of the food's transported, and that's really expensive. And by the time it gets there, it's not necessarily of the best quality. And health service delivery is a real issue for rural and remote communities. Again, because of the remoteness and the expense associated with trying to deliver health services to small communities and the rationalisation around that, and also trying to get health professionals to live and work and stay in those communities is a real challenge as well. So they vary. So depending on where, yeah. And for young people, again, different issues.
Okay, Dr. Jane, maybe related with the second question. In Indonesia, we have a term called cadre. It's a community health worker. And Dr. Winteri wants to know whether do you have like those kind of thing where you picked people from the community where they already a leader in their community, and then they were trained by the health professional so they can do the health promotion on their own population, so they will have big opportunity to be accepted and more information can be delivered in their own term and languages. So do you have any kind of
different organizations do they do that. They try and employ locally, and they have different training programs. We have Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health workers, for example, from communities that sort of play that broker, that back and forward, and always the idea is for community workers to be upskilling and developing their skills to be able to then take over roles. Yeah. So yes, that's important, particularly in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander and migrant communities, refugee communities. Most organisations have a process to engage with community people as employees as well in the process. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Just
thank
looks
you,
different.
Dr. Dr. Jane.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next question is from Ibu Rati Firtra Gayatri. Miss Rati, would you like to ask the question directly? Oh, maybe I can just read it. So, she is interested with the critical health promotion tools, and do you have it ready in other version, probably in Indonesian version?
No, we don't, but that's a good challenge. We haven't. We don't. Yes, no, we don't.
But we can use it.
English.
I mean, can we use the tool? Is it open for public? Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Totally. We love people to use it. But I can also send you there's the paper that outlines it, but I can also send you we use a spreadsheet, a little spreadsheet for our scoring for all the questions. So I can send you that as well. I'm happy. We're really happy for people to use it. That's what it's for. If it's helpful,
Yes,
absolutely.
of course it's
Yeah.
helpful.
And also happy for, for if anyone wants to use it, happy to talk through how to use it. If you wanted to, happy to jump on and help anybody as well, if you ever wish.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jane. Okay, probably there's a lot of participants here who's looking forward to use your questionnaires and your tools for their activities in the communities. That will be great. Thank you, Dr. Jane. Is there any other question? Udah? Okay. Oh, I've been warned, so the time is up. So unfortunately, we need to close this session. Dr. Jane, thank you so much for your presentation, for your descriptions of your work and the health promotion tool. And so to conclude this session, well, the health promotion is incorporated in all health professions, and a great tool can be used to help the health practitioners and health promotion practitioners to assess the community, to know their problems, and to create programs and strategies that are suitable with their conditions. And it is it is also can be used to form decision on the importance of the problem and what kind of strategy that can be implemented I'm sorry, what kind of strategy that can be implemented in that community along with the priority of the problems. Thank you so much, Dr. Jane. And I give the screen back to the MC. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trecia Sujana, and also thank you, Dr. Jane Taylor, for the topic today. As a appreciation from the committee, will give a certificate for Dr. Jane and also for moderator, Ms. Trecia. And the certificate will be given by the Director of Immanuel Institute of Health, Dr. Wintari Hariningsi. Please, Dr. Wintari Hariningsi.
Thank you for Miss Dr. Jen Taylor. Thank you. You're very good is presentation in here. And Miss Teresia Sujana, you Sam, very good moderator in Immanuel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Wintari.
Thank you, Dr. Wintari Haningsi. And once more for Dr. Jane, thank you for your topic today. And for the end of the session, maybe we can take photo together. Please, for all participants, don't forget to open your camera so we can take photo. Be ready. I will count it. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. Thank you for all, and for Dr. Jane. If you have another activity, we may you to leave this Zoom. Thank you. We can give applause for Dr. Jane.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's for the first session for this morning.
Pak, hati-hati yo.
Bagi para pekerja keras yang berlomba dengan matahari pagi,
ya, badai dengan kategori 4 ini datang dengan
bojomu yuk.
Bojoku ngapa?
ada jaminan kecelakaan kerja. Buat yang banting tulang demi cita-cita yang tersayang. Ada jaminan hari tua.
Boleh, Dok. Pokoknya Ibu dukung.
Hati-hati, Pak.
Untuk yang memutar roda mengejar rezeki, nggak khawatir jalani hari. Ada jaminan kematian dan beasiswa 2 anak. BPJS Ketenagakerjaan agar mereka bisa kerja keras bebas cemas. Pasti aman, pasti cair, pasti tenang. Perlindungan pekerja sejahtera. BPJS Ketenagakerjaan.
Aku mahasiswa IKI dapat beasiswa BNI. Mau seperti aku, kuliah di IKI. Kalau kamu, bagaimana? Aku mahasiswa IKI dapat beasiswa KKP. Mau seperti aku, kuliah di IKI. Selain beasiswa BNI dan KKP, ada juga beasiswa lainnya, Boh. Untuk lebih jelasnya, mari bergabung di IKI. Kami tunggu ya.
Wave Beats Music.
Baik. Kamu tahu nggak apa itu? Di IKI ada banyak UKM tahu? Oh iya, mau tahu? Mau dong, ikutin aku. Nah, ini UKM-UKM-nya.